Greetings, Earthlings. Welcome back to my channel, and today we are going to be talking about the Mandalorian and Grogu movie. Now, I want to preface this video with a little disclaimer. It's going to be very off the cuff and messy because I quite literally just finished watching this movie. I did not have time to write a full review. I left the theater, got home, smoked a joint, and pressed record. So this is what you're gonna get. I took, in total, 5.5 pages of notes. And I just want to point out that 4.5 of those pages were just me writing down the plot. One of those pages, this page, is basically my most important thoughts that I felt I wanted to mention in the review. So we're just going to go through those thoughts in order, and I'm going to try and keep this as spoiler-free as possible. The first thing that I want to say is about the movie as a whole. There are moments where Din, and this is a problem in the main show as well, feels so overpowered, like literally nothing can kill him, and there are scenarios where he should absolutely be dead, where he just isn't. Like, nothing feels like a threat when it's up against Din Djarin, the Mandalorian, and even when things do seem like they could be a legitimate threat, it's like, but they're not because they're fighting Din. So obviously Din's gonna survive somehow because he's the fucking Mandalorian and everyone knows that the Mandalorians are invincible. And it's like, holy shit, he literally gets thrown around like a cartoon character. And it's just so funny because all it reminds me of is that one scene in Andor during the massacre when that one girl gets thrown by a droid and she literally gets thrown like 30-40 feet and her back breaks when she hits the ground and she dies. And it's like thinking of that versus watching Mando get absolutely bodied by a fucking bullhorn and just be fine. Like, okay. Anyway, speaking of things not really meaning anything, the deaths of the Empire goons in this movie also just felt like nothing. There was no weight. And not to bring up Andor again, but in Andor, every single person who dies on screen, you feel it. You fucking feel it because they make it have weight. And literally, stormtroopers were having like cartoon deaths. Like, it felt like I was watching a live action cartoon, which is so funny because Mando is one of the only current Star Wars properties that isn't based in some sort of cartoon, but now it's sort of become a cartoon in its own right, even though it's like still live action. I don't even know if I'm making sense. One more thing, actually, before I get into my thoughts. I will eventually talk about some positive things, too. I promise. I'm not here to just be a negative Nancy. But one thing that really confused me was the fact that Rotta the Hutt was pretty much the only character in the movie who had any sort of arc, like, at all. Like, Grogu sort of has an arc. Grogu actually gets things to do, by the way, which is wonderful, and I'm going to talk about that later. But Mando and Grogu, love them. I mean, we stan, but they end and start the movie in the exact same places emotionally. Like, Grogu basically, he has this sort of journey, because at the beginning of the movie, he's just touching random ass buttons like, which, like, you still haven't fucking learned not to touch random ass buttons. It's been 3 seasons and now a movie. Like, you should know better by now, even if you're a fucking baby. He's like pressing random buttons at the beginning of the movie, and then the movie ends with him. Sorry, I said this was gonna be spoiler free, but it's not. Sorry, but the movie ends with him pressing the button to like send them into hyperspace after Din tells him it's your turn now, because they had this whole the old save the young and then the young save the old moment. It just kind of felt like it came out of nowhere. Like, they did have a scene of Din trying to get Grogu to turn the ship on so that they could leave. But his arc for the movie is literally just learns to turn the ship on. That's very disappointing. Din, again, has no personal arc. He starts and ends the movie in the same place, just like Grogu does. He does get to do a lot of cool fighting scenes though, and we actually see Pedro Pascal's face quite a bit. So yeah, the three main characters, because there were three main characters, it was Din, who had no arc, Grogu, who had no arc, and Rotta the Hutt, who surprisingly did have an arc. And I'm not going to get too much into it because, again, I don't want to give too many spoilers. I know I said this was going to be no spoilers and then I gave spoilers, but like I'm trying to keep it as vague as possible so that you can still enjoy the movie if you've seen this review before watching it. So basically, Rotta is the only one who has an emotional arc. And honestly, this movie made me like Rotta the Hutt. I did not think that was going to happen. Like, holy shit. When I walked into that theater, the absolute last thing that I expected was to walk out a fan, if you will, of Rotta the Hutt. But somehow that happened. And you know what? I'm not mad about it. Because Jeremy Allen White, first of all, kudos to him on the voice acting. Because it did not, like, I could not tell it was him. I mean, maybe a little I could, but like, it did not sound like him. He did not sound how I was expecting him to sound. And then also just like the writing in particular, like, again, I don't know how they did it. It was like magic, but I fucking love Rotta the Hutt. Anyway, so that's fun. If you have seen the movie, please let me know down below what you think of Rotta the Hutt, because I need to talk about him to someone. Like, he's so fucking funny. He had a really compelling emotional arc, and like I was not like because at first he was kind of just like, oh, you have no idea how hard it is to be Jabba the Hutt's son. Like, I'm just living in his shadow, and people finally love me, and but then he like kind of grew on me. So just like if you ignore like the first scene of him just being fucking an emo teenage boy, him and Grogu had an actually really cute friendship. And then like you have these moments where you're like, oh my god, this is actually this is a teenager. Like, everyone keeps calling him kid, and there's this moment where him and Grogu are playing in the water at the beach, and it's like, oh my god, you're a fucking child actually. But yeah, what other thoughts do I have on this movie? I thought the opening scene was really good. I thought it did a great job at showing the new dynamic between Din and Grogu, in the sense of like, oh, they work for the New Republic now, even though Din technically says he's a freelancer, but it's like, no, you work for the New Republic. I wrote down, within the first 10 minutes of the movie, Grogu is just there to be cute, which is true for the first half of the movie. I forgot to say this at the beginning of the video, but there was a tweet I saw that basically described the movie in one sentence. And that tweet, I wish I could find it. I did not save it. But basically the tweet said something along the lines of, if I had a nickel for every Star Wars movie that had Rotta the Hutt in it, that felt like 4 episodes of a television show instead of a movie, I would have 2 nickels, which is not a lot, but it's weird that it happened twice. And genuinely, that is what this movie felt like. It felt like 4 episodes of a TV show. Like, I watched this movie with my dad. I had shown him the tweet before we went to see the movie. So every time that an episode would end, I would turn to him and be like, end of episode. And he'd go, shit, you're right. Because again, it really did feel like 4 episodes of just the regular Mandalorian show, which isn't bad. Like, I had a good time watching it. Granted, I'm very easy to entertain, so maybe this is actual slop and I just don't realize it. I know the movie hasn't been getting great reviews online, but like, again, like I said, I'm not here to be all negative, because I did kind of like it. Like, if I had to give it a score, I'd probably give it a 6 out of 10, which isn't great by my standards. This just, I don't know, like, it didn't really make me feel anything. All of the emotional beats felt really forced, because again, there's no sense of danger when it comes to the Mandalorian, because you just know he's gonna fucking survive everything they throw at him. Like, Even when he like oh my god, I don't want to give spoilers, but he is on the brink of death, the very brink. And I'm still not worried for him because I'm like, but he's gonna survive. Like, there's no way they're gonna kill him off. You know what I mean? On to some positive things. The music was fucking excellent. Oh my god, who did they say did the music? I can't remember, but well done. Heels up, love. You did good. Or whatever the fuck that one tweet said. Also, the alien designs in this movie were incredible, truly inspired. There is a scene where Mando and Rotta the Hutt are in an enclosed space with several quote-unquote monsters, and the designs for those beings were so unique and creative. The comedy in this movie is also another plus. It was not overbearing. There were a couple funny moments where like the plot stops to just have a little giggle, but overall the comedy flowed very nicely and it never felt out of place when it was used. Oh, there's a bounty hunter who shows up. Oh my god, I forget his name. Sorry, I just like can't remember anyone's names today apparently. I'm gonna put a picture of him up on the screen right now. He was there and he was super fucking cool. I enjoyed his presence. I did not like the fact that his dog was using one of those little guys as a chew toy. That was despicable, but the dude himself, super cool. I know I just keep saying super cool, but like he was super cool. His presence was very threatening. There's a scene where he just absolutely bodies Mando in a fight. And I mean, it's like a 2-second fight. It's almost comedic how fast Din loses that fight. Just the way that this bounty hunter managed to be so suave with it, just the way that he moved, and I've always loved that guy. Like, I know I don't know his name, but I've always thought he was really cool, like when even back in the Clone Wars and stuff. And so the fact that he was in this movie, just really cool to me. Sorry that my vocabulary is not exactly the best right now. I'm so much better at coming up with words when I'm writing, but like I said, this is off the cuff. I'm not reading from a script. So these are my notes. This is not a script. Oh, yes. Grogu had not an arc really, but he had so much to do in this movie. Like the first half, I really thought that he was just gonna be there to look cute and sell toys, but there is a point, like I mentioned, where Mando loses a fight with the bounty hunter, and after this, he gets captured. He gets brought to the Hutts, and Grogu has to team up with the little guys to save him. And it's, first of all, cutest fucking thing I've ever seen. The little guys in Grogu, like Grogu has this whole scene where he's like suiting up to go save his dad, and it's, oh my god, it's adorable. Like, I know that the point of Grogu is to be adorable, and I'm probably getting, like, I'm just another Star Wars fan who will accept slop from the slop machine because there's a cute little guy there. There's a fucking glup shitto in my cereal, so I'll eat it even though it's fucking moldy and gross and full of shit. But that's beside the point. But Grogu, like I said, actually gets shit to do in this movie. If we're talking about the movie as the 4 episodes of television that it really was, the entire episode 3 is Grogu centric. So like that's a plus. We get to see Grogu do some adorable little antics. We get to see him protect his dad. We get to see him bond with some random guy. And he's like, we get to see his like little daily life in the forest. It's pretty cute. So, you know what? I'm not mad about it. There is a really weird scene though, like the pacing was weird. Mando is running away from, like, I shit you not, like 100 people probably. Like, they're all chasing him in this forest, and he's fighting them left and right. They are popping out of the woodwork to attack Mando, and Mando is fighting them off, and then all of a sudden Grogu's there, and like they just stop getting attacked for a good like 2 minutes. And to have this emotional scene, and I was like, that's great and all, but where are the bad guys? Just as Grogu manages to cover Mando in a bunch of leaves, the bad guys appear again. And I'm like, wow, that was convenient. Totally didn't feel like weird pacing at all. But yeah, no, it did feel like weird pacing, and I thought it was important enough to put in my page of important notes. So one other thing about character design that I really loved was the Hutts have these disused, discarded separatist droids that work at their palace. Super fucking cool. Their designs are so intricate. Like, they each have their own paint, their own outfits. They don't even feel like droids, really. I just really appreciated something nice to look at. Like, I know it's not much to say, oh, the music was good and it was nice to look at, but like, genuinely, those things are true, so I'm gonna say them. I will say the directing wasn't very inspired. I don't think there were any moments that really stood out to me as like brilliant directing, but it did a fine enough job. Whoever directed it, they did a fine enough job. I also have no idea what the timeline for this movie is. I think it all happens within like a week, but I'm not sure. Maybe like 2 weeks. They're in the forest for a really long time. I guess now that I'm talking about it, like, even though this movie is like a 6 out of 10 for me, overall, I enjoyed it, okay? It was entertaining. I was entertained. And that's really the only thing I fucking care about in this house, is if I'm entertained. And I was. Sorry, I forgot to mention Zeb was there. I fucking love Zeb. But also, like, I know that he's literally just here to appeal to Rebels fans like me. So I tried not to let that affect my scoring of the movie, because it's like, literally, you just have to dangle any of the Rebels characters in front of my face, and I'm gonna eat that shit up, even if it's, again, literal shit. I'm gonna eat it, because the Rebels characters are there. Like, Ahsoka season 2, I will be sat, even though they literally ruined Thrawn's character and just did a bunch of shit for no reason. Like, oh my god. But again, Ezra's gonna be there. So, like I said, that is basically all I have to say about the Mandalorian and Grogu movie. I know this video was very off the cuff and unorganized, so I apologize for that, but like I said earlier, I just don't do well writing actual reviews of things. I'm trying to write a review for every single Second Doctor serial right now, and it's going very poorly because I have like absolutely no idea what to say and even how to review these things. Like, oh my god, it's so bad. But I will make that video eventually. Trust me, I will, because it is on my bucket list. Like, I need to do that. I need to rank the Second Doctor serials in order from my favorite to least favorite. But enough about that, and enough about Star Wars, because this video is done now. Thank you so much for watching. If you're still here, honestly, I'm surprised. I hope that wherever you are having a great day or night, depending on the time. And I hope that when you go to bed tonight, your pillow is cold on both sides. Bye-bye.